When talking with clients about their dashboards and their analytics, it's very important to understand the methodology for designing these dashboards. Now, first off, I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and one of the services I provide is the management of the analytics and the marketing automation for e-commerce sites, especially publishers with high volumes of traffic. And one of the things the clients want is they want that at a glance dashboard. So imagine, and I'll give you a scenario. Auto Trader back in the day used to have these big boards up that had just basically key performance indicators. So on your website, a key performance indicator is going to be the number of buttons clicked. Not all buttons, but the buttons have to do with actions. For example, the add to cart button, forms filled out. That's related to leads, and then that as a comparison against total traffic. So if you're going to dashboard that, you want to make sure you have those key factors up there. So let's talk a little bit about dashboarding. I know there's tools like DataBox available, Looker Studio. There's a lot of technical ways to do dashboarding, but I'd like to share with you a very simple and easy to follow way to produce dashboards for your clients or for yourself that helps get you the best at a glance visualization. Now, again, I'm building from the technical aspect. I've worked in data centers and we've monitored network traffic. We've monitored a lot of different things. The real-time screen on Google Analytics does provide valuable uh, dashboarding information. But again, when you're in a sales office, what really matters is the key folks. So at Lillian Vernon, for example, up on the big screen in the call center were number of closes, the number of calls coming in, number of calls waiting, and that provided both the people answering the calls, but also the managers of the data of the call center, the numbers that they needed. Now, our clients are everywhere. Our staff might be everywhere. So, for example, on a catalog website, you may have the number of impressions in the catalog, differentiated between general catalog, which is the indexes, and the actual product pages. So that could be a differentiation that you want a dashboard. And you want that ratio to be as high as possible because a large amount of traffic on a catalog page, maybe you've got a t-shirt company and the pages where there's specific types of t-shirts, if you get direct traffic to those pages or campaign related traffic with the proper uh, link attributions, then you're going to know popularity of different types of designs. And then you'll be able to focus on the different designs where general traffic on the website has less value. And then category-based traffic has even less value. And so we design our product categorizations to give you information, but the product that's landed on it, the metadata associated with the actual product itself gives you that information faster. And when you're dashboarding, you might list kind of a leaderboard of top products. So the way we design dashboards for clients, very often clients get confused, but we'll build index cards or we'll use a Kanban or card system on a shared presentation. And each card will represent one element on that dashboard. Because there are three key problems clients have when producing dashboards. Number one is too much data on the dashboard. Your dashboard has to be at a glance. Number two is that the data that is on the dashboard doesn't telegraph meaningful information. So your total volume of sales that day doesn't mean anything because it's not compared against some target baseline. It's not month over month, year over year. It doesn't give you any decision-making tools. And number three is that they want these real-time dashboards, and very often the real-time dashboard doesn't have verifiable information, or it has information from one platform. So if you're only reporting from Google Analytics and you don't have your dashboard associated with the catalog tied into that to make sure that you're getting good conversion and attribution information, then you're not going to have a very good dashboard. So again, we're going to write each element on an index card and we're going to paste that up on the wall. We're going to put that up on the board. We're going to put that someplace where people can start getting ideas of what kind of information is useful. But we're going to map that card back to the decision that the person who sees that information needs to take. So the dashboard for an executive is going to be higher level and it's going to roll up a lot of information. But the dashboard for the person in the call center is going to be completely different. It's going to be current call intakes, time to call, numbers to beat type of thing. And then for your network administrator, so in my case, I'm monitoring connectivity. I'm better off using a search engine optimization or an audit tool to dashboard the performance of a website and the interconnectivity of the marketing elements. So I'm going to use SEMrush. I'm going to use Ahrefs, something like that. Now, I'm not endorsing any of these products. My clients use a variety of products, but the point I'm making is that we want to have that card, and then tied to the card is the decision that by audience. So if we're doing a dashboard to help you understand conversion rates on an e-commerce platform, that card is going to be meaningful for the e-commerce platform. It's going to be comparative, and then it's going to set, we have to ask the question, who's the audience that's going to look at it? So for every card, there's kind of like a one page that bullet points what's on that card, why it's on that card, how does it get used, and what's the relevance to the particular audience. We do that, we might have 8 to 10 cards. We'll definitely end up with more cards than you can fit on a dashboard, but that audience segmentation is going to help you decide, okay, we have a dashboard for our e-commerce folks. That's going to have these items on it, but our dashboard for the warehouse is going to have something different on it. So I like to help people set up, and we talk a lot about efficiency here. And so when I'm helping a client set up their business process, their controls, and their overall performance optimization, I'm going to say, I'm going to have a dashboard in the warehouse that has the top products that need to be on queue. It's going to have pick information. So it might have recent orders, how long the order's been waiting, and then, kind of like a menu in a restaurant. The orders are going through and they can pick the order and pack it, click that they've done the work, and then it updates. So a mail order manager had a really good dashboard that was set up for their warehouse. Now the marketing department's going to want to know, and again, it doesn't have to be real time. It has to be accurate though, because we'll be making decisions. But the marketing department may need to know on a dashboard in the bullpen, for example, the top campaigns, especially if they're running campaigns you're putting a lot of money behind and you start having problems with the campaigns. But at the same time, the webmaster needs to see something different because those campaigns are pushing, but what if landing pages start dropping out? What if there's broken links? So again, it's compelling to use Google Analytics because it pulls up a lot of information. It's compelling to use SEMrush or some kind of platform audit tool because it brings up a lot of information. It might be useful to look at your order tracking because it brings up a lot of information. But you can't put that all in one dashboard or people will not look at it. It'll be too busy for them to look at. So again, create the individual cards. Now that could be a slide in a PowerPoint deck, but I really do just get index cards. I'll take my little engineering notebooks and I'll just build the cards out in here, and then I'll put them on index cards. We'll visualize them up on the board. We'll hand draw the diagrams. It says a lot about a client sometimes when they're drawing like a histogram type chart or a bar graph when it really should be a pie. And so it gives me as a service provider an idea of, do they understand the information that they're looking for? And then I can back down to, well, what decisions will you make with this information? So even pulling up my publishing platform, and I can't show you a lot of these details because they're private. So for example, I have a report that tells me the ad codes for popular products. So I have a consistent lead attribution and sales attribution that retains a catalog code, and that catalog code represents a product. If you knew which catalog code was converting, you could just reverse engineer that and then knock off those products. And then if I showed you a catalog code that's not converting, then what good is that? So you have to think about your client's needs. The knowing that the attributions should chain together, so you should know where the traffic comes from, you should know where the leads come from, and you should know where the sales come from, and that's actually a tree. And I could do some of these in front of a whiteboard if that's more useful for you in the future. But there's a hierarchy of connections that tells you the, I don't know, chain of custody, I guess, of where someone starts and where they end in your sales funnel. And the numbers don't always have a meaning because we know that the cookies get blocked. Somebody orders from a different, uh, web browser or a different device. We could back that information out of our accounting system and our order tracking system, because the one most reliable piece of information is where you ship the product after the payment has been received. So so when you're dashboarding, it's great to see, the number of buttons clicked and the number of forms filled and the total amount of traffic, but is it contextually meaningful to the person who's going to look at the screen? Now, I often will encourage using a dashboard that you can see in a browser. So I know it's great to have that television up during a massive campaign. We might have a, uh, a screen up because there's somebody coming on for live presentations. Somebody's coming on for, so you're getting the emails out. You want to know what the leaderboard is in that particular campaign as far as the landing pages that are getting traffic. So for an example, let's say you've got 5 landing pages that are part of a campaign, and each of those landing pages makes an offer. The offer is the same across each landing page, and you're comparing the organic traffic versus social traffic versus paid traffic. And so we have a couple bars up here, and then it funnels down to the offers. You might have an A/B split in the offer, and then the sale. You might look at like a March Madness leaderboard in order to determine, oh, well, look, this landing page A is converting a lot of social traffic. So let's go get more social traffic. So you might have that board up in the room, 5 or 6 people in the room, and they're saying, okay, well, let's pump out more traffic on this page. And then you're going to pump out 5 pieces of traffic to feed to that page. And then of those 5, you'll know which ones are coded and you'll know which ones to beat. And you can actually get to a point where you have some strategic intelligence that lets you drill down into the exact content that produces outcomes. Now on that March Madness leaderboard, if you have some social content that's really powerful in the conversion aspect, then you can start promoting that with paid money coming out of your ads going into your paid work. Now, Frank Kearns talks about this really well, and he actually does 20 to 100 paid ads. And then as these ads run, he adds money to the ones that convert and subtracts money from the ones that don't convert. And then that helps him drill down to the 5 or 10 campaigns that he knows are functioning as far as return on dollars invested. And there you go. So in some cases, you don't even need a dashboard if you're using the optimization methodologies that we talk about in a variety of our programs here. I was going to grab one of the programs and hold it up here because I'm working on one right now. But this kind of optimization is facilitated with clean, easy to follow dashboards. So in WordPress, I have Monster Insight going here, and I'm not endorsing any product. I do have, I do work with the clients to determine what products are best for you. And then integration is very important because if you want the marketing automation to work, it all has to talk together. So WordPress and Monster Insights work really well together. And then there's also OptimizePress, which I'm wearing this shirt, but not necessarily endorsing. It's up to your site. There's other tools and products. Depends on your CRM platform. But Monster Insight gives me an overview of sessions and page views, and it gives me a bounce rate. It gives me the average session duration. It feels like something useful, but as far as a dashboard is concerned in your Google Analytics and in your WordPress install, I really think the AIO SEO overview of posts that need improvement is more valuable than the number of visitors. So I might look at my Google Analytics for the number of visitors, but because I can tie that to source attribution. So you see where this works. So you're going to have these little dashboards all over the place, and they have meaning to some people and they don't have meaning to others. So the first thing is for every dashboard panel, you're going to define what does this mean and how do we respond to it and how do we make decisions based on this information. So I have a site I'm pulling up right now. It's a catalog site. There is a 5-second session duration on this site. 64% of the people who visit the site bounce. And you might be saying, oh, that's horrible, Justin. That's no good. Well, one of the key things about this site, it's jwhco.com, is that this site features the content on our network. And so we want people to see the content on our network and jump across to our next site, because it's a media company, it's a publishing company. And so in my analytics, I can see the destination they're going at. So Google Analytics tells me about destination, but I can troubleshoot my on-site uh, here if that session duration gets too small. Because seconds are okay. They're going to come onto the page, they're going to catch a headline, click on it, takes them off site. So that's contributing to the high bounce. I blend in feeds for my products. So if they click on that and go into the product, that's not a bounce because it keeps them on the catalog. But once they hit the order buttons and start into the funnel, there's a different place measuring that funnel. There's a different product measuring that. So whether you have Shopify or you have WooCommerce or whatever platform you have to understand where people are moving between systems and where the most accurate measures would be. So let me kind of roll this up into a nice, neat little bow. If you're going to design dashboards, don't worry about the tools, don't worry about the products, don't worry about anything. Just get out a big old magic marker and a whiteboard, or get out some index cards and just lay out based on how you make decisions. And that's the biggest challenge many of my clients have, is they don't know how to make decisions about e-commerce. They don't know how to integrate online and offline sales. Of course, that's where I come in to help them, because once you know what works online and offline, if you know where your leads come from, if you know where your sales come from, you can always increase conversion. But ultimately, if by laying it out on little cards or little sheets of paper and just posting them up on a board, if you can't do that consistently and you can't justify everything that's on that piece of real estate, most dashboards only have 9 panels you can work with. And what I mean by that is you're going to have, some things that are larger featured, and then you're going to have little tiny numbers and things. You can only read it from across the room if there's a small amount of stuff on the screen. But once you do that, you'll justify every panel. You'll make sure each piece of information is useful. And then when an executive looks at a dashboard, they get useful information. When your managers look at a dashboard, they get useful information. When you as the business owner look at a dashboard, it's useful to you and your team. Now, you might be saying, well, Justin, I only wanted one dashboard, and now I've got 6 because the guys in the warehouse have a dashboard. The ladies upstairs got a dashboard. The folks on the front desk. Yeah, that's how it works. That way everybody gets the exact information they need, because if you make one dashboard to serve everybody, then it's going to be a complete mess. There's a lot of that real estate they're not going to look at. You're better off getting bigger numbers than more things to look at. That way people will look up and they'll see their own stats. So call center example, RingCentral does a real good job of this. They'll see their call stats for them individually. They've been on the average call 1 minute. They've had a conversion rate of X. They've had, they've passed along people to a certain department. They can look at their numbers, and then they can look at the average numbers for the whole room. And if you've got 5 or 10 people in a room, you could even start some competition if that's properly attributed. Now, again, if all they're looking at is that call completion or call answer, and their job is also including conversion, then your dashboard needs to have both call completion, call answer, time in queue, as well as over here, the conversion rates. And then you need to have conversion by agent, because that's meaningful for them, where somewhere else you might have conversion by campaign, which is meaningful to a different team. So again, if you want to talk about this kind of thing for your client, I do a lot of white label services. So for example, if you've got a client you're writing copy for and you want to sit down and go over how we might dashboard their system. Now, this is a paid service, so you can either pay for it or your client can pay for it. But the key is the right dashboards for the right people. Another key is being able to communicate why the dashboard is taking up space, why that element, that widget is taking up space on that board. And then we start looking at the technology, because if you start with the technology, you're going to be limited. You're going to have incomplete information. You're going to have cookie problems. You're going to have time to update problems. You're also going to have less meaningful information because you're constrained by what the platform offers rather than what you can produce using dashboarding software or or by properly integrating your tools. And then ultimately, if you have a product with a useful dashboard, how do we get it in front of the right people? Again, being able to bring it up in a browser is very useful. But there's some dashboard information you don't want your team to be able to drill down into. So if you're using Tableau for dashboarding, Looker Studio for dashboarding, that's kind of technical, but you could have somebody on your team that's down in the weeds looking at data that's not important. They're looking at the data and using it the wrong way, or they could even be dumping lists of your data to share with a competitor. Again, I mentioned it earlier. I am not going to show you a client's dashboard. I am not going to show my own dashboards because there's a need to know basis in all of this data, because the way I do dashboards, which I've done for IT companies, for financial services companies, for other places when we're managing their reporting and their analytics, is that these are powerful at a glance tools to know what's happening in a business and to know what's working well in a business so we can drive forward. Now, there are places where error rates are useful to see, but that's going to be more your technical teams. Your marketing teams want to see successes so they can repeat successes. And then ultimately, if there are technical things like the site audits that we talk about, um, the IT people need to go open a ticket and repair that. So you're looking for problems in to fix, or you're looking for successes to repeat. On the marketing side, it's always successes to repeat. So I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and I've given you kind of a easy one-stop approach to starting to design dashboards. When you're ready for the technical side of dashboarding, I can either help your team get that together or do it for you with the team that we have here. But ultimately, dashboards are at a glance. Stop making dashboards nobody uses. Stop making dashboards one size fit all and start understanding where leads come from, what's producing sales, and ultimately what's our next step when it comes to growing and producing results in business. Thanks for watching. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. When you have specific questions about this topic or other topics that we cover here, as we help you transform business relationships into profits using words that sell and using direct response methodologies, you can visit www.adbriefings.co.uk to ask your questions. Simply go to the contact page or otherwise join our free newsletter, and I'll see you next time.